Well, Mike, you mentioned the fact he won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
But what's more important is the kind of individual that he is.
Exactly.
As he represents our university.
Yes.
He is just a fantastic young man.
He is.
Well-grounded, well-centered, a very, very outspoken in his faith.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this interview for the Pillars magazine, a little segment that we're wanting to call Core Voices, paralleling to the core values of Houston Christian University. Today, I have with me our athletics director, Steve Moniaci, because we have a theme in the Pillars magazine of athletics. So I just wanted to start off, Steve, by just saying, hey, thanks for coming today.
Well, my pleasure. Happy to be here.
Yeah. And, when I think about you, one of the things that comes to my mind is just your work ethic. Where do you get your work ethic from? Because you're one of those people who are like at everything and you do everything. It seems like, obviously you don't. You have a lot of supporting people, supporting staff.
We do.
That help you out.
We do.
And I'm just wondering where that work ethic comes from.
I don't know that I can answer that question other than maybe from my parents. I don't know. I do try to be at everything that I can be at. I think and I told Dr. Sloan this when I came here, that I wouldn't just be the athletic director and only be at the athletic events, because I don't think that's committing fully to what the institution stands for and means. I ask our athletes. In fact, I just got through doing a lot of certification meetings for our athletes to start the school year. And I ask our athletes to be a part of not just their teams, but everything that goes on in this campus.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to model that. I want to model that.
Yeah.
And so it's not just about being, at athletic events, but it's about being at everything that this university does and what we stand for.
Yeah. That's really great. And I can totally see that. From you, going to basketball games, you're like the first one there, last one out. You're putting up chairs. You're doing things that you would hire custodian workers to do. And I've just always admired that about you. And one of the questions that Diane Tezano has for you is for like a season review type thing. So last year, it seems like, what are one of the moments that stand out in the defining success of HCU athletics? We had some really great moments last year.
We did.
In our athletics. And what stands out to you?
Well, I think what has to stand out probably is how we ended the year.
Yeah.
On the baseball field.
Oh, yeah.
Winning a conference championship in the last athletic event of the year. I don't know how you can get much better than that. So that has to be probably the defining moment for the year.
Okay. And what strides have you seen in the overall competitiveness of your athletes from the last season?
I think we did turn a bit of a corner last year, and I think it started out with football last year. Football was much more competitive on the field last year than they have been the last couple years, and I think that was a testament to the new football staff, and I think that kind of set the tone for the year, that we were going to be competitive in everything we did. Obviously, we've had a couple coaching changeovers in the last couple of years, and I think that the energy and the drive that new coaches have brought in have kind of set the tone for the athletes, and we have raised our level of competition across the board.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that. I even have student workers that work with me who are like, those football players are so big, So they have, every year it seems like, our athletes are have more and more physicality, more and more drive, and just as over the summer, I was speaking to a couple of the athletes in the BA, which is our dining hall. And and they were really excited about this upcoming season, the 25-26 season. And it was a football team, some football players.
Sure.
One of them being a punter. And I was just like, historically, we've had really good punting.
We have.
Which we have.
Yeah.
That's the real deal.
Yeah.
And I got to share some fun anecdotes with him. But then also, too, they were really excited to continue on from where the baseball team left off.
Right. Exactly. And it can become contagious.
Yeah.
And that's what we hope happens.
Yeah.
Where one team sees success, then the other team says, well, we want that too. They strive for that. And then the next team right on down the line. And as I say, it can just become contagious because across the whole department.
Yeah. So, and then also to so how have our student athletes grown off the field? Like in terms of academics, community, service,
Sure.
leadership? What are some things that have stood out to you that kind of make our athletes stand apart?
Well, I don't think this group of athletes is any different than any of the other athletes we've had over the years that I've been here. I think all of our athletes grow and mature as they come to school here. And I think to a certain extent, they maybe mature a little bit more here than maybe some other places because of some of the things that we push. Certainly, we're serious about our academics here. And I'm happy to report that we tied for the highest GPA that we've ever had as an athletic department this past spring, with a 3.41 average across the board.
Yeah.
And for the first time in 10 years, every team had a better than a 3.0 grade point average last spring. So academically, they're doing very well. We require them to do public service as a team at least once every year for a team activity, but many of them will do many more than that across the course of a year. And I think that helps show the kids what they need to do to give back to the community that they live in. So I think that's a very important part of what we do is that community service. I think one of the struggles that we have now is this thing that's called the transfer portal. And so we don't get to keep our athletes maybe aggregately as long as we used to be able to keep them. It used to be that they would come here and they would have 3 or 4 years with us. Now we're lucky if we have them for 2. And so we have to really impart what we're going to impart on them much quicker than what we've done in the past. And that, while a struggle, has led to some real successes for our teams.
Yeah. Well, one of those events that your students have helped out with, the student athletes, was the project restoration.
Yes.
With the KPRC2 community.
Right.
That the university is partnered with. And I mean, from what I understand, they were working pretty hard on restoring a house.
Yeah.
Carrie Delmark went out there with them from the marketing department and was helping out, and gave the university a little shout out on KPRC too. So those are some great things that the student athletes do for sure. And another question on this recap review from last year is, what are some significant coaching changes or some significant staff hires, that have made a really good impact on the athletic department?
Well, as I say, we had a number of coaching changes last year. We had Coach Doty, who came in the basketball program.
That's right.
And I think we saw the effects of that this past year.
Yes.
Really exciting season. A lot of great moments.
Yeah, where we beat Stephen F. Austin.
Absolutely. And several others. And had a really, really good season. Not where we want to be.
Right.
But much improved.
Yeah.
Coach Bachtel in football, obviously, as I said earlier, started off the year, very competitive football program. not a lot of people know this, but I was on the national committee to select the FCS playoff teams. And so I can tell you for a fact that had we won 2 more games last year, we would have been in the playoffs, national playoffs.
Wow.
And so that's really kind of the first time we've been at that level where we were even actually being considered. Nick Whiting in women's soccer got his program turned around last year, and I think we'll see great improvement out of their program coming up this fall. So really excited for that. And then we just made a change this past spring in women's basketball and brought in Andrew Long in women's basketball. And I'm really excited to see the changes that he brings in Nats Ford and how competitive they'll be this year.
So my next question is, what behind the scenes investments, like in terms of facilities, technology, training? I know nutrition is really important right
It is.
now with student athletes.
It is.
And so what are those kinds of strides that the university has taken to help improve the life and longevity of our student athletes?
Well, you hit it on the head. Nutrition is very important. We actually were the first team in our league to actually have a nutritionist. Memorial Hermann Hospital provides us with a nutritionist, and it's been several different people during the course of that, but they come in and they meet with the teams. They visit with the teams about what they should be eating. They take them over the ball. They take them through a typical lunch or dinner and show them what they should be eating at lunch or dinner. They take them down to Aldi. They take them shopping and show them what they should buy and what's good for them to eat, what's not good for them to eat. I always kind of liken it to a race car. If you put regular gasoline into a race car, it's not going to go very fast. If you put racing fuel in a race car, all of a sudden it starts performing. Our athletes are the same way. If you put the right fuel in them, they're going to perform much better than if they're running on the wrong fuel.
Right.
So we were the first in the league to be able to do that. And all of our teams now almost across the board, have nutrition tables where we supply during the course of a day. If they can't get to lunch or they can't get to dinner, they can pop into the nutrition table to pick up something that's good for them to eat. And they will fuel their bodies as they go through the rest of their day.
Yeah, that's such an important aspect.
It is.
Athletes. I mean, you did hit the nail on the head with being able to have the fuels to sustain you. And how has support from alumni, fans, and donors helped to fuel the year's progress?
Well, and I think one feeds off the other. As our teams get better, more of our students and our fans want to come see them play. And when more of them come see them play, our teams play better. And I think, again, that probably culminated with what we saw at the end of the year out of baseball last year in that 2-game series where there wasn't a seat to be had. And the whole field was surrounded with people in pickup trucks sitting watching the game when they couldn't even get into the stadium.
Yeah, it sure was. I was there. It was a sight to see.
Yeah.
I have never seen that before. And then, it was great to be under the lights as well.
Right.
And then just a lot of great things have been happening,
right,
for the athletic department.
Well, I think you saw the baseball team perform.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, they knew the people were there to see them play, and they performed to the level that they knew it was going to take to win.
When did you really start thinking about student athletes helping out in the community?
Well, it started when I took over as athletic director.
Oh, awesome.
It's one of the things when we made the transition back to the NCAA, it was part of what we told the NCAA that we were going to do as an athletic department. Whether it was going to make us stand out and be different than anybody else didn't matter. But that was part of who I thought that we should be as a Christian school. We shouldn't be modeling that Christianity. We should be modeling with our student athletes, and our student athletes need to be modeling that to the community.
Yeah, right. It's kind of community focused. And what project specifically stands out to you personally?
Golly, Mike, I don't know that we've done so many over the years. I don't know that I could cite any one personally, although I will say this, for a number of years, we didn't this past year, but for a number of years, we've had a Sharpstown Day where we've gone out into the community and the Sharpstown civic leaders have identified projects for our athletes to do. Typically a Saturday morning, and we'll work the all. I mean, we typically have had 200 plus student athletes out doing different activities. And I do remember a couple of years ago where we showed up to a house where it was an elderly person and they hadn't had a chance to do anything in their yard probably for years. And it as you can imagine, was pretty overgrown. And I can remember distinctly that somehow or other bamboo had gotten into the backyard. And I will tell you, the bamboo is an invasive plant in Houston, Texas, and will spread like wildfire.
Okay.
You let it.
Okay. I didn't
And
know.
I can remember us digging for hours, digging out bamboo in her backyard. And I thought at any point our kids were just going to give up.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
Wow.
They didn't. They persevered through. And it was mostly the football team.
Yeah.
And they persevered through, and we got that backyard cleaned up to where it could have been on Good Morning Houston after we were done with it. So it was really fun to watch them actually kind of struggle with it to start with, but then persevere to get through it and clean the whole thing up for that family.
Oh yeah, those kinds of community efforts really do help to grow, the bonds that we all have, and then just understanding that the university is here, but there's also a community around it where people need our help and they need to know that we are the hands and feet of Christ.
Absolutely.
So what are kind of the criteria? Like, how do you make decisions on what programs to help, or how do you go about, keeping those partnerships alive?
I wouldn't say that there really is a decision process involved in it. If somebody comes to us and says, "Hey, can you guys get involved in this?" We're going to try to do it if we can.
Yeah.
The only thing that would keep us from doing it is just time commitment of the athletes, time commitment of the coaching staff. Maybe part of the year when they come to us might be in the middle of somebody's season and they can't do it because they're in the middle of the season. But, generally speaking, what we do then is we just try to put it off to after the season and try to do it at a later date. I don't ever remember us turning down a request that we've had.
Yeah, no, we've had some things that we've come to you with from the marketing department where the student athletes have been able to chip in. And have you ever gotten requests from some of the student athletes, like specifically?
We have a leadership committee, our student athlete advisory committee, that's made up of the leaders of every sport. And they meet twice monthly during the course of the year. And part of their commitment is to decide what our long-term projects will be for the year in community service. And so they actually get to vote on, okay, what community service project would you guys like us to take on this semester? So they make a decision as to what we did.
What's the FCA's impact on student life?
Well, I think for those that take part in it, it's tremendous. It's tremendous. Eldred Rivas runs that for us, and he and his wife Lauren, who used to be our assistant soccer coach, they now together run our FCA program here on our campus and do just a fantastic job of that. FCA is voluntary on the part of the kids, so just like other service organizations, the campus, it kind of grows and sometimes it contracts and then it grows again, just depending on the individuals.
Right.
But they just have a tremendous impact. And certainly when we're talking about trying to get our student athletes further along in their walk, certainly FCA is a huge partner for us in accomplishing that goal.
This past season, which coaching or staff hires could you see that made or you're hoping make a significant difference?
Well, I as I said earlier, I really am looking forward to seeing what women's basketball does under the new leadership of Coach Long. That was a championship program 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And so we want to get back to that level. And so I'm really excited to see what if it's like the other sports where we've had the coaching changes recently, it could be a really fun season for them.
So I'm gonna ask you an oldie but a goodie question. Do you plan on expanding any sports? Um, you know, you have any? What's the criteria for expansion?
Well, you never say never.
Yeah,
Um, there's a couple sports that I have in mind that I have put forth to the university that I'd like to see us try to get involved with. Uh, this is probably not the time in the NCAA to do any expansion.
yeah,
There's a lot of things going on within the NCAA right now,
right.
and contraction seems to be ruling the day right now.
Mhm,
And I don't want to see us do that.
mhm.
Uh, so I think probably any plans for expansion most likely would be on the women's side, first of all.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
probably we'll have to wait a year or two at least until we see how things shake out with the NCAA.
Okay. And thanks for answering that.
Yeah,
And I really appreciate it.
sure.
And then and what is your vision for HCU athletics within the next 5 years? Where do you see us in the next 5 years? Like this is a job interview. What's
Yeah,
something?
yeah, exactly.
But that's
Yeah, well, if I'm
ridiculous.
so fortunate to
Yeah.
get the job.
Yeah. But I think, I mean, you are a futuristic thinker, and you have had big goals, and I really think a lot of those things are coming to fruition.
Right,
um so I think that that's kind of the curiosity behind the question.
right, right. Well, I think for us, number one, I want to, always our goal is to win conference championships.
Yeah,
We set out every year with the goal of winning a conference championship.
yeah,
Every one of those certification meetings I do, I finish up with telling the kids, if we're good enough at what we do, I'll be seeing you at the end of your season with a ring sizer, and we'll measure you for rings for championships.
yeah.
And of course, they love that. And when we've done it, they really love it.
Yeah,
So that's the goal.
yeah,
The goal is always to be competitive in our league.
yeah,
If we're competitive in our league and we win the conference championship, we'll be in the playoffs.
yeah,
And I would love to be able to actually win an NCAA playoff game.
yeah,
The unwritten fact about what happens is that when you're a mid-major team, you get paired against one of the majors.
yeah,
You go into the NCAA and you get paired against one of the majors. So that means that we're going to have to beat a Texas or a Baylor or an
Yeah.
A&M to do it,
yeah,
but we're capable of doing it.
yeah,
I will tell you that I felt really good about the fourth inning last year against Texas.
mm-hmm.
I thought we had Texas right where we wanted them. Then we had a couple errors in the field that the game kind of got away from us.
Yeah,
But I think if we had played our game, we'd have been right there at the end with Texas.
yeah,
And I felt like we could have beaten Texas in baseball last year.
yeah. Well, I think if I'm correct, we did out hit them
We did out there.
in the game.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, so that's a definite
Yeah.
plus.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
it was a great atmosphere, and we had a good contingency of Houston Christian University fans out
We did.
there.
Yeah.
Dr. Sloan and Mrs. Sloan were out there with some great alumni, and I ran into a lot of former baseball players who came to see their dreams realized. And it was just a really great atmosphere, very exciting.
Oh, yeah.
I got two more questions, and then I'll let you go.
Okay.
These are mine. So a person like Jalix Hunt, winning the Super Bowl, that was just extremely exciting. He came back on the university campus this past season and really spoke into the lives of the football players. We had coaches asking him questions and players asking him questions. That was very exciting. What was your take on that?
Well, Mike, you mentioned the fact he won a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
That's great.
Yeah.
But what's more important is the kind of individual that he is.
exactly.
As he represents our university.
Yes,
He is just a fantastic young man.
he is.
Well-grounded, well-centered, A very, very outspoken in his faith. Um, very much enjoy his time here. I know a lot of people don't realize he actually transferred here from Cornell. So he was an Ivy League football player and made the decision to transfer here. And when he transferred here, was not a star player, was not well known at all, and was fortunate enough to grow while he was here, and was fortunate enough to grow under some really good coaching while he was here, and developed into the player that he became, and that got him drafted into where he is now. But all that to say, would not have happened had he not been the kind of young man that he is.
Yeah.
And I'm just so proud of him. And I'm so happy for him that he's seeing the kind of success that he's seen. The reports out of Philadelphia are that it's not just, you talk to people in Philadelphia, and it's not just the fact that they won a Super Bowl. It's what he's done in that community after the Super Bowl that had made him such a fan favorite up there.
Wow, that's fantastic. It's just
Yeah.
great to see that, the core values of the university are being imparted into a young man, and then that young man is taking it out to other communities and even on a world stage like that. And then my next question would be, after the success that Houston Christian baseball had, HCU baseball, the coach was giving some comments at the press conference, and a lot of the questions aimed towards him were almost like, "Is this university for real?"
Yeah.
You know, and can you talk a little bit about that and why his comments were so great and so inspiring, because they were.
Well, and I think that goes back to the kind of person Clay is.
Yeah,
And what a great fit he is for our university.
yeah,
Um, Obviously, very much a believer in what this university can mean for young folks, and where we can take them in their Christian walk, and imparts that every day to his kids. And I will say the same thing was true for Lance before him.
yes,
And Lance
yes,
rock
sure.
play with him here. And so both those men were responsible for what we saw last year on the field, quite frankly.
Yes,
But it's so heartening for me.
hmm,
You hope those are the kind of things that your coaches will say when they're in front of a mic, and they're really kind of on a national stage.
yeah,
You never know for sure that's what's going to come out of their mouths. But
yeah,
but the words of that Clay used and spoke that day just really spoke to what this university means, and what we're all about.
yeah. Well, thank you so much, Steve, for taking the time to speak with us on this kind of a introductory episode of Core Voices. And make sure that you're able to check out your Pillars magazine in the mailbox. And thank you so much for your time, and we'll hopefully see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.